Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be recapping the season finale of the DCUniverse original series Doom Patrol. The whole season for me has been very up and down, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they end this season and where the show is going from there. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Like and subscribe for daily content. We begin just seconds after the reveal that the chief was the person responsible for all the accidents that turned the team into what they are. They're all furious with him, and Mr. Nobody waves them all away before they can attack the chief. He's finally gotten his revenge. A flash to 1961 at the ant farm shows us the chief being told about Larry and Rita and how he has plans for them. In the present day, Larry wakes up and Rita greets him. She's all excited about her student's final project, and we find out that this is 6 months after the events of the previous episode. They've all moved on, and now they're trying to live their lives out in the open, no more hiding. Larry goes for a little walk and then releases his negative spirit, hoping to go for 20 seconds. Now I'm just guessing, but he's trying to train his body to survive without the negative spirit, I'm thinking. We see Rita with her students, and we discover that she's a high school drama teacher now. She seems happy, but then one of the students makes fun of her, and the reality sets in that she's nothing more than a teacher whose students only took the class for an easy A. They're not serious about learning anything about acting. A flash to New Year's Eve 1976 at the mansion finds Larry, Rita, and the chief celebrating. The doorbell rings and a man from the bureau walks in. He's there to see how the chief is running this place where he took Larry and Rita, and he's also there to give him the paperwork on his next test subject, Jane. In the present, Jane appears at the place where the original Doom Patrol are living, the home that appears to be a school. She questions the man running it and if he knew if the chief had lied to them all this time. Her personalities are shuffling through until he calms her down, telling her that yes, he did know. She tells him that he needs to fix things because she's losing control, and he tells her that there's a drug she could take to calm herself, something to make her powers more manageable. It's something that the chief created, and that it needs strict monitoring. Jane, however, just grabs the bottle and disappears, ending up in the van where she injects herself with the drug. We see her go inside, and all the various personalities are walking towards her, and they all lie down very tranquil, and Jane is completely neutralized thanks to this drug. Flashing to 1988, we see Cyborg's mother arriving at the chief's lab. He has Cliff's brain before he implanted it into Robot Man, and he's remorseful about all these accidents that he was causing. Cyborg's mother is very confused by what he's saying, and she doesn't understand that he has anything to do with the reason these people have been led to these extremes. He confesses his actions to her and makes her promise to still be his friend. We see Cliff at the present day delivering some food off at the van where Jane is at. She's still neutralized on the drug, but I don't think he has any idea what's actually going on inside the van. A flash to 2014 at this show's version of Star Labs shows us the chief and Silas Stone after the accident that killed his wife and changed Victor forever. The chief is trying to convince Silas to let Victor recover at the mansion, but Silas shuts him down. He tells him that his wife told him what he did to the rest of the Doom Patrol, and that there's no way he'd ever trust him with his son. In the present, Cyborg wakes up from a nightmare and Silas calls him to see if he's okay. He tells him he's just tired and he hasn't gotten much sleep since he's working on solving some cybercrime. In the white space, Mr. Nobody is depressed, having reached his goal of tormenting the chief, but now he has nothing left to pursue. He's talking to the cockroach that we've seen before, and then Admiral Whiskers appears. Mr. Nobody suggests that the three of them band together to start a supervillain team, and I swear this show just goes for broke when it comes to crazy. Jane finally comes to as one of her personalities tells her she must go back. She steps out of the van and she finds Cliff there dropping off food. And we can hear that Chumbawamba song playing, and Jane asks Cliff if he can hear it too, and he says he's heard it all day. She wants to go find whoever's making the music, and he agrees. They arrive back at the manor, and Vic, Rita, and Larry are all there as well, and they're all hearing the same song on repeat in their heads. The chief is there, and he tells them that Mr. Nobody has kidnapped Danny the Street and needs their help. Now, how exactly does someone kidnap a street? The chief tells him that he has a daughter and that she's very powerful. His one goal in life was to always protect her, and that's why he created all of them, to learn how to extend his own life. Danny the Street has been his daughter's caretaker for all these years, and now Mr. Nobody has them both. The team is outraged, but they relent after some time and decide to go help rescue Danny. Not that they're doing this for the chief at all. But they end up having to go inside a painting to get to Danny. They stare at this painting and then they're transported to Danny's street where a huge cockroach is towering above them. They see Mr. Nobody running to get away from the cockroach, and they all go into one of the buildings, and the beard hunter's there singing karaoke. He tells them that it was him who sold out Danny the street and allowed Mr. Nobody to take control. The chief asks about his daughter, and Mr. Nobody tells him that she was the one who made the cockroach into a giant. The team leaves to find the chief's daughter, but a giant-sized Admiral Whiskers appears on the street and ends up eating Cliff. Cyborg uses his arm cannon to kind of fight against the mouse, but he keeps coming. The chief tells Jane to keep going and to find his daughter in the doll hospital building. She runs inside to find her. Back in the club, Rita tries to give Mr. Nobody a pep talk, telling him not to give up, that he can change everything with his powers, that he can make a comeback. He begins to narrate the story again, and he gets inside the giant cockroach's head, convincing him that he's actually a god, and we see that he ends up eating Cyborg. Meanwhile, inside Admiral Whisker's stomach, Cliff is trying to escape. Larry releases his negative spirit, and it flies around trying to find a way to end all of this. Jane is inside the doll hospital, which we've seen before in the episode about the Beard Hunter. This is the place where it looked like he was killed, only he wasn't. Outside, we see Rita step out into the street. Apparently, the plan is to have the giant cockroach eat them all. She steps forward, and the cockroach devours her whole. Back inside the doll hospital, Jane tries to get the chief's daughter to open the door and come out. She sings her a song that the chief used to sing for Baby Doll to make her less afraid. The chief rolls up out of nowhere from behind Jane, and I'm not sure how in the world he got there, especially down all those stairs, but, whatever. The door opens to the room and his daughter's in, and while we don't see her, we do see a hand take hold of Jane's, and the chief tells them it's time to go see what the inside of a cockroach looks like. Outside, Larry is running, and we see Cliff climbing up the inside of Admiral Whiskers as Mr. Nobody continues to narrate the story. He talks about how the cockroach and Admiral Whiskers finally saw one another for what they were and discovered that they'd wanted one another all along. I swear I'm not making this up. I cannot believe I'm actually saying this. But then we see the cockroach and Admiral Whiskers passionately kiss. With tongue. Cliff uses this as a way to get from inside Admiral Whiskers to inside the cockroach. Yep, that just happened, y'all. Larry uses his power to open a rip out of this dimension, and we see that while they're all safe, Mr. Nobody and the Beard Hunter are not. Back at the mansion, the cockroach appears, now normal size, and Cyborg blasts his way out of him, and the team start to exit the body of the cockroach, and I swear it's looking like something from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. They all step out, and the chief introduces them to his daughter, Dorothy Spinner. Now, we don't really see her except from the back. She has little pigtails in her hair, making me kind of think of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Larry walks up on them, all full size like normal, and he tells them that they should deal with the problem at hand instead of being introduced to the little girl. He picks up the brick that they're all on and walks off into the mansion, and we see the painting that they had earlier, and now it's blank except for two tiny specks, which turns out to be Mr. Nobody and the Beard Hunter, apparently forever frozen in this place. The episode ends there, and I can't decide if it's a cliffhanger or what. You never really can tell with this show. I do have questions though, like who exactly is the chief's daughter? What's her importance to the story? How will the team go back to their regular size? And is this the end for Mr. Nobody? I did do a quick Google search on Dorothy Spinner and found out that in the comics she's a member of the Doom Patrol, and she's modeled to look something like Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz. She has the power to bring imaginary beings to life, and she also has a severe face deformity, which may explain why we didn't actually see her face on the show. Probably just means they have not cast an actress for the part yet, and they used the back of someone, kind of like how they ended Titans with that quick look at Superboy, and just used to stand in, and later on will cast an actor for the second season. Nothing I've read seems to suggest that she was the daughter of the chief, though, so that must be something they've changed for the show. So this brings us to the end of the first season of Doom Patrol. Now, there's been no official word of a second season yet, and honestly, I'd expect that if DCUniverse is still standing, that we'll get a second season, but however, it's been rumored that the streaming platform is dealing with funding issues, and they've not made a big impact financially. Now, obviously, this was never going to be Netflix or Hulu, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't plan accordingly. Warner Brothers, though, is preparing their own streaming service, so perhaps they'll roll the DCUniverse shows over to that at some point. We really don't know anything at this time. I do hope the show gets a second season, if for nothing else to answer the questions that I have after the finale. I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you for watching, and thanks to all of you who've been following these recaps from the beginning. I'll definitely be back if there's a season 2, and I'll also be recapping the next DCUniverse original series, Swamp Thing, which starts this week. So if you're interested in that one, be sure and stick around.